All right, everybody, this is episode 4, and it's going to be all about automation. We're only going to learn about a few different items in this tutorial, but we're going to apply a lot of different mods to make the automation process happen. First, we're going to take a look at the Apiarist pipe. Next, we're going to take a look how to automate all of your apiaries, and the same stuff applies for the alveary, but we'll talk about that in the next episode because that's super exciting. We're going to talk about automating it with Buildcraft, Factorization, Apply Energistics. We're going to talk about the fully automated self-analyzing honey processing bee breeding bonanza contraption, and then we're going to talk about, I knew I couldn't say that without laughing, the Advanced Apiarist Pipe. So let's first start off by pressing F1. Okay. We are going to need an apiarist pipe. So let's go ahead and make one of those real quick. That didn't do. Oh, this is a disaster. This is starting off really bad. Okay. You're going to need a diamond transport pipe and 2 propolis. And again, we've discovered that we can get propolis by squeezing honey. And we can go out here and check that out in our squeezer. Look at all the bees out here. I have been a busy, busy bee. There's lots of love in the air. Okay, that's how you get propolis. Basically, we just threw some honey drops into the squeezer, brought it over here, and there's a chance that we're going to get the propolis. And you're going to need 2 propolis alongside a diamond Buildcraft transport pipe, and that's going to give you the apiarist pipe. So what is this pipe all about? What can it do, and how are we going to use it? The pipe itself, when placed in the world, looks like that. Just a very plain thingamabobber, but once you start adding other pipes, on the sides of it, it's going to pick up more different colors, okay? And it's a cube, so there's 6 sides, 6 colors. Great, let's go. On the inside of the pipe, there is a bunch of different stuff here, and this looks pretty complicated, but I promise that it's not because we're about to make it really easy. What I'm going to do is, or I've already set the pipe actually, so I've set it to drones, items, and princesses. And basically what that means is the blue side will accept princesses, the green side will accept items, and the yellow side will accept drones. So we see yellow will accept drones, blue will accept princesses, and green will accept honeycombs. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and I have a chest full of stuff here. It's got a bunch of different things inside, and it's going to start pulling these out and making them whiz to all the different chests. So we got items going over here, princesses going in the middle, drones going over there. So we got our honeycombs flying in the side there. Okay, so it's going to know exactly what types of bees to send where, and it's going to send, you can actually set it to a few more things. We'll take a look at that in a second, but we're going to get only drones in this box here, just like we wanted. Only princesses, and it doesn't matter how complex, so we got some decomposing and phantasmal princesses in here. Doesn't matter what kinds they are, it's going to send them to the princesses chest as long as you have this selected. And over here we have all of our pollen and our honeycombs coming out of this chest. So basically what this is a bee sorting device, and we're going to use this to slap on one of our apiaries and automate our bees so we don't have to keep checking them all the time. Let's take a look at some of the more advanced features of the apiarist pipe because there's a lot of different options. Actually, I'm going to look at this one first and explain the options, then we're going to go check that one out. If you right click, there's a lot of different options that you can select. Anything will allow anything through that side of the pipe. This will allow only items, any bees, only drones, only princesses, only queens, only purebreds, nocturnal, pure nocturnal, strong flyers, pure flyers, cave dwellers, and that one that doesn't work. So you can really get pretty in-depth with this pipe, and it can do a lot of useful things. So let's check out this little setup here. I'm going to explain how I have this set up and how it works, and hopefully it's going to make sense to you. On the very bottom here, I have it accepting drones that are only meadows. And the 0 and 1 here stand for the first and second species traits. So if I have a meadows drone, the first species, or the 0, is going to be meadows, and the 1 is going to be forest. So this is a meadows forest. And this yellow one over here is only going to accept meadows drones. Okay, if I drop them, actually I'll go over that in a second. The green pipe is going to accept anything, and that technically shouldn't be like that because nothing can go back that way, so we're just going to X that out. The blue side is going to be able to accept any purebred cultivated bees. So it's going to be any bees, but they have to be cultivated. So it'll take princesses, it'll take queens, and it will take drones as long as they're only cultivated. The red slot is going to only take princesses, and these are going to be forest princesses only. It's not going to accept any other type of bees. No drones, no queens, no items, no nothing. So that's going to come over here. So the yellow side is meadows. Red side is forests. So forest and meadows we know is going to give us a common drone. So this is how we're going to try to get some common drones, and we're going to send them through this chest to try to automatically crossbreed with this pipe. It's still going to require manual intervention though. Any items are going to be sorted through the white side, and if I get this down the bottom, no, that's black. The top will be white, but since we won't have any items in this little demo, then we don't need to do that. And last but not least, we have the blue side. And the blue side is going to take any bees as long as they're cultivated, and we kind of talked about that already actually, and they'll go over here, so princesses and whatever. So these bottom ones right here are going to determine the path of all these bees inside here. So the forest princess is going to go right here. We have princesses forest, that's going to go the red slot. We have cultivated drones and a cultivated princess, and we set the blue side to take cultivated, any kind of cultivated bees, so they're both going to go over there. And finally, we have the meadows drone, and that's going to go through the yellow side. Right here. Yep. Okay, so let me turn this thing on. Stop opening this chest. And we're going to see him kind of whiz through pretty quickly here. Here we go. Cultivated to the right, meadows up top, and forest to the left. And they're going to put these two together, and they're going to start breeding up. Over here, we put together a cultivated and or a cultivated queen or a princess and a cultivated drone, and those are going to breed up to make some pure breeds. And you can even get more and more complicated with this, having your bees go in all different directions. You could put another wooden transport pipe and pull out the commons. If it was a purebred common, you could pull that out and separate it into another chest. If they were hybrids, you could separate them out into another place. So this pipe is pretty versatile. But let's get into the actual automation of this, because this will send the bees where we want, but we want it to do it by itself. So I have automated this process with 3 different mods: Buildcraft, Factorization, and Applied Energistics, and Buildcraft is probably the simplest one, and we'll take a look at that right now. Basically what I have here is an apiarist pipe right here on the top of an apiary. I have a cobblestone transport pipe here, and I have a wooden transport pipe with this Arctic gate right here. And you make one of those with the you have to use it in an assembly table, and it's going to require MJ and some lasers to do. That's a pulsating chipset alongside a redstone iron chipset, and those together along with the plain gate, which is just a redstone iron chipset in an assembly table, are going to give you the Arctic gate. And that's going to allow you to slap it right onto a wooden transport pipe, and it's going to make this setup a little bit more compact, so you don't have to use a redstone engine and a lever and the whole 9 yards. It's going to pull stuff right out. So in order to set this up properly, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but this is just a simple way. We're going to put redstone signal off, and it's going to pulse when there's no redstone signal. So we don't have a redstone signal applied, so it's always going to pulse, and it's always going to take stuff out of the apiary, just like it's doing right now. It's got a honeycomb, it's got some bees, and it's going to sort the bees in the right places. You're going to see the honeycomb go to the right, and the bees drop down into here. Now one bee went over here, and that's because this one is full. And when you're setting this type of automation, or the Buildcraft automation up, you're going to want to most likely make sure the apiarist pipe is touching the apiary. That way it's going to know that the apiary is full. If there's too many drones in it, it's going to send the excess ones over to a chest, and they won't pop out all over the place. So let's check out how we have this set up inside. Basically, there's only 2 variables that we have set up. We have any bees are accepted into the black side, and that's down here, and so that any bees are going to go in there that come through, and the green side is going to accept anything. And the reason that we don't want it just to accept items is because, just like we saw, sometimes the bees are going to need to go over there because there's too many inside of there. So if you have that set to items only, you're going to want to make sure you have another pipe attached here to accept excess drones, and it gets a little bit too complicated that way. So this is basically the best way to go. Just attach that apiarist pipe right onto your apiary, and it's going to constantly breed them through. It's going to put the princesses back in, it's going to put the drones back in, it's going to breed them up, it's going to take out everything. And this is probably the simplest form of automation that you could possibly do. And just in case you were wondering, we can go ahead and build one right now. We'll put the wooden transport pipe here. We'll right click, put our Arctic gate right there. We'll set it to redstone off and pulse. Now you can change this too. There's B options in here. Where are they? Frames or no frames, missing drones, missing queen or princesses. There are some B options in this, but we're not really going to do those. We're just going to do the simple redstone signal off and send an energy pulse. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put a cobblestone pipe there. You can use gold or whatever you want. We're going to put an Apiarist pipe here. We're going to drop another pipe there, and we can put the chest right here if we want. And we want to set black to accept the bees, and we want to set green to accept anything. So we're going to not do that. We're going to open up the Apiarist pipe. We're going to set green to accept anything with one click, and black to accept any bees. Okay? And that's going to do the same thing that this is doing, just with one less pipe, and it's going to continuously breed your bees so that you never have to walk back. And you're only going to want to do these with purebred bees. You don't want to just jam any kinds of bees in here, otherwise you're going to get an inbred hybrid bee disaster, and it's definitely the last thing you want. So we have a lot of honeycombs generating here, tons of extra drones, and we're going to need those drones for episode 6. So this is a really effective way to do this. Cultivators actually get you a lot. I am cheating with these frames, but in any case. Factorization, anyone that knows this mod right off the bat is going to know exactly what's coming in a few minutes with this setup here. But this is a pretty simple setup. This is not really practical to start at all, but you see the process just happen there. And basically what happens is the router is going to insert bees into the top side, and it has to insert bees because that's the only thing coming in. And with the router, the apiary, this is the top and bottom slots here. Or yeah, the top and bottom slots of the apiary. So when you have to set it to insert top sides or east, west, and you name it, you're going to want to set it to insert in the top sides, and you're going to want to pull out on any one of the sides around the apiary. And that's just going to put bees in and take them out. The only problem with this setup is, just like you see here, is that once this is all full, it's not going to know what to do with the excess drone or queen that it gets, and it's just going to stop the whole process. So there we go. This is working nicely, as you can see. I have this pulling out all of the stuff from this spot here, and this router is inserting all the new bees inside of there. And I have this set up so green, the items go to green, and any bees go to white. So bees up top, items to the right. That's pretty simple. Applied Energistics, this is probably the most simple, but requires a little bit of progress into the game. And all this stuff that's floating around me is the effect of some of my bees, and it's a pretty cool effect. It's like regeneration or something. I'll turn that off. If I get close to one of these, I'll get it. Sometimes these bees give off good stuff, and we talked about that. And there we go, is the regeneration. All right, so basically what we have is a really, really simple ME system, and you can set up whatever you want. I just have a chest with a 1K storage in there, and you can see that we built up a lot of royal jelly here and a bunch of dripping combs, and that's because we're breeding imperial bees. And those are being automatically imported into the top slot along with the drones, princesses and drones, and the breeding process is going to go round and round and round. Now when you do automate with Applied Energistics, you're probably going to want to use a fuzzy export bus. Split at 99% is fine. You don't want it to split at 0, otherwise there's going to be trouble. That should weed out and know what kind of bees that you want in there. So I have it set to import imperial princesses and drones. Those are going to go in the top slot there, and they're going to get pulled out by this precision import bus, and that's going to put it back in the system, and the whole process is going to happen really quickly. And it's pretty hard to see in here, I think, because it happens instantaneously. No, takes a second. There you go. Works fine. Really tiny setup, doesn't take much power, and ME stores bees the best out of anything. And remind me to talk about that. I forgot to mention this in the last episode, and this is really important. Okay, so ME can automate it very simply. Now, what if you want to put a bunch of beehives together? What do you do? Look at this go. Oh, can't see that one. Okay. What we have here is I have industrious bees, or industrious drones, in a little line here, and these guys are all breeding up. And it's a pretty simple process. All you just need to do is just keep stringing together apiarist pipes. So we know from what we just learned that back into the beehive needs to go the bees. So yellow should be set to bees, and red, because we're going this way, needs to accept anything. And that's just how we have it set up here. So any bees in yellow, and red can take anything. And the same thing goes for right down the line. And you can only do this for if you have all the same kinds of bees in all, or however many apiaries you have strung together. If you put an extra bee in there, an extra princess, you're going to have some real messes to clean up, and it's not going to be fun. Okay, so I have my my gate down there, my Buildcraft gate with the wooden pipe pulling out. They're coming up. All the items are going towards this chest here, and you can see that we have tons of drones, tons of items, and this process works great. And again, that's why you're going to want to have a lot of princesses on hand. Same thing for here. We have yellow, and we want the bees to go in the apiary, so we're going to select the yellow slot for bees and the blue slot for anything, and that's just going to slide right over there. No need to set any other parameters on this pipe. Now, factorization, this is actually pretty neat, and if you know how this works, again, the routers do something pretty unique to most of the items in the game. What it can do is you can set one router to fill every single one of these apiaries and one router to empty out every single one of these apiaries. And you're going to see in a second a horde of bees come spilling out of this router here, and they're going to get sorted. They're going to all go back through the system. Here we go. I'm breeding diamond bees. So there might be a diamond comb, but there go all the drones. There go all the princesses. I've got white set to any bees. I've got green set to items, and they're going to go flying around, and they're going to all be placed back into these apiaries. They're all queens already. There we go. And this is a really neat way to automate the system. Now this is just kind of so you can see the process. It's not the most streamlined thing. But I've avoided the problem that we just talked about before with that other little setup with where it can place bees and drones by just separating these two out. Basically what I've done is I've set the black side of this apiarist pipe to only accept princesses and the blue side to only accept drones. So the princesses go directly in, drones come down the side because it's the blue side, and they just go into this router, which fills all the top sides. Got this one, the same thing, filling all the top sides, and as long as they're connected, it will know where they are. And this one's pulling out or extracting from all of the other sides. Okay. Now, if you don't have an alveary yet and you want to make some bees that require hot temperatures or temperatures that you don't have close to, you might want to build some apiaries out there. And so one of the things that ME does now that's really great is provides you with wireless ME, and that's this thing right here, this quantum link chamber. If you notice that just buzzing away there, this is the assembly table that you need to make those gates. And we're going to go out to the desert here and try not to, or try to make it through the door. There we go. Very good. And this is the the fully automated, self-analyzing, honey processing, bee breeding bonanza machine contraption. And this is just a mess of pipes and subnets, but it actually works. So we're going to find out what this stupid thing does and why it's fairly unnecessary. All right, let's see. Oh, we ran out of honey. Figures. Right, let's preload this baby with some honey and get this process started again. All right, what this thing is essentially it's my home ME network wired into another quantum field here, and we'll talk about that in an Applied Energistics update special. Hopefully that's coming soon. This is my ME network that's back in the bee castle, and this is hooked into the yellow slots here, and I have this network pulling out bees that have bred from this area here, and it pushes them out back here into an analyzer. And what this whole process does is basically it analyzes all of the bees before they get back into the hive. So you can see here I can mouse over this and it knows that all of these modest drones have those traits, and it will know all these have those traits as well. So when this thing finishes up analyzing a queen, it's going to shove it back over here because it's going to take it into the red subnetwork, and it's going to drop them. It's going to export them with fuzzy export buses into the bottom of these apiaries. And you can see there that we have a modest queen, and it's diurnal and nocturnal. There we go. So it can work during the day or night. It's a little bit of a slow process, 100,000% unnecessary, but it's just some of the crazy, wacky things that you can do with bees if you absolutely have to know what traits they have without having to worry about analyzing them all. This wastes a substantial amount of honey, but that's okay. Waste is good. All right, finally, we're going to take a look at the... Actually, while we're here, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to show you this block here, which I neglected to add in before. What this is an ME storage bus, and this indexer here is going to be key. And I apologize profusely for not showing you this earlier. But the indexer is made by using an apiarist machine alongside some chests and a redstone and a diamond there. And you use a sturdy casing, copper, and redstone to make an apiarist machine. And when you put this down, this is basically a block that stores an infinite amount of bees inside of it. So you can load this baby up, and this just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The scroll bar just gets bigger. You can sort it by species, by type, which is princess, queen, or drone. Or you can have no sorting at all, and it just creates a disaster in here. One of the things that you're definitely going to want to do, even if you hate applied energistics for whatever reason, I can't imagine there is one, you're going to want to hook the indexer up to a storage bus. And what that does is basically it gives you the ability to search for bees by name. So I'm going to hook up, put this here, hook up a storage bus, connect that into the system, and this is the red. So I don't want to do that. Let's do this. Okay, it's going to hook up into that one. And if I load up these bees in here, there it is. Thought it disappeared on me. And I go check my system, which is, this is linked back into my main system. You see that these go right inside of here, and you can search for Meadows drone, you can search for anything you want. And the great thing about that indexer is that it doesn't take up any storage space inside your 1K, 416, or 64K cells. So this is a really, really important block, especially with all these bees that you're going to start getting. You're absolutely going to need that thing, and definitely build it. All right, now we're going to go take a look at the Master Apiarist Pipe. All right, I definitely said the Master Apiarist Pipe right before I left, but it's the Advanced Apiarist Pipe. And this pipe has about the same effect that a wrath igniter has on a redwood tree to your world as of right now, which is something that I hope will be fixed. But basically, this pipe is not a friendly pipe, and it just consumes your entire existence. Anyways, we're going to take a look at the insides of this thing as quickly as I can before the world crashes, and I will explain to you what's going on in this pipe, because finding any information about this pipe online or on YouTube is virtually impossible. So luckily I'm here to enlighten you. So let's drop this baby down. Looks almost like the regular Apiarist pipe. Let's put a few more things on it because it does have a very different graphic. Okay, here we go. The FPS is already starting to drop. Let's take a look at the inside of this thing. All right, it looks really complicated and scary, but it's not, I promise you. We have a lot of different options here, and we'll go through them as fast as I can. In the bottom left here, we have a little slot that says it will only accept pure or hybrids. So pure only or hybrids and pure. At the bottom slot here, we have a button that clears the entire GUI out. All right, I'm going to go from left to right. There's a lot of the same options that the regular Apiarist pipe has over here on the left side. You can select, let's go through these. Closed, so nothing can go through there. Non-bee, which means anything but a bee can go through there. Any queen, any drone, any princess, and all this other stuff. And it's going to go through every single bee out there. And there's a lot of them, so I'm not going to scroll through that list. If you right click, it goes forwards. If you left click, it goes backwards. And here's all the basic ones in the beginning. If I clear this out and right click, it's going to go through all these other different options that we kind of just saw. All right. What this pipe actually does is sorts by individual genome breakdown, and you can make it as complicated or as non-complicated as you want. Let's say we select a forest, or let's do a meadows bee, okay? You can set all of these other stipulations, and these are actually all things that we've already talked about. I'll just explain them real quick. This is the speed of the bee. So when it says, when we open up the, let me get a bee here. I guess I better take my time a little bit on this. Okay. The speed, that's this one right here. That's the rate that it makes its byproducts. Slow, slower, slowest, normal, fast, faster, fastest. Okay, that's the speed that it makes things at. This next one right here is the lifespan. So longer, 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 and elongated, all different types of lifespans. This is the fertility rate. It goes from 1 drone all the way up to 4 drones. This is the heat level. So it can bear up to +5 normal in either direction. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. It can either handle up. This up 5 means it can handle hotter, 5 tiers hotter than what it can normally handle at default. Down means that it can handle tiers lower than its default. And both up or down means that it can handle either both higher or lower 4 tiers in either direction. This one is for the humidity, and it basically has the same different types of setups. It has up, down, and both, and that's for the humidity levels. This next one here, self-explanatory, nocturnal, cave, flyer, nocturnal and cave, nocturnal and flyer. It's got all the different combinations in here. He really went overboard with this pipe. So that's what that is. This one is the different types of pollination, and I know we briefly mentioned that in episode 1, but these are all the different types of flowers that bees could possibly require. Okay. This next one here is pollination, and this is, we talked about this before, this is the effect that it has, that the bee will have on the environment. This next one here is the area of effect size, and that's how far out the bee will travel to trees or to make flowers, to crossbreed trees, whatever, you name it. And this can get up to a huge size. I didn't even realize it could go that high, but apparently it can. And that's what that is here. And finally, we have the effect, and that's the very last thing. So there's a bunch of different effects. Poison, that's the one that was causing regeneration. So ends, freezing, radioactive, creeper, flammable, all types of things. And you can sort bees. I'm going to clear this out in a second. So let's say I wanted forest bees only, and I wanted them to have slower pollination, a short lifespan. I wanted them to drop at least 3 drones. Or actually, let's make this a lot simpler. Let's just go with, I want bees that can make at least 3 drones, that are nocturnal and can work during the rain, and I want them to accept flowers. Okay, so this is a pretty simple combination. You can have all of your bees pumping through this pipe, and everything that meets these criteria is going to be put off to one side or directed to wherever you want it. So this is actually a fairly decent way to like clean through your entire bee indexer and separate the really good bees from the really bad bees, and try to find those really desirable traits. Like some of these are crazy. Like fastest, this is a really, really awesome trait, and it can only be attained from a few specific bees. So if you want to see if you have any of those bees inside of your database, then go ahead and select this and pump all your bees through this pipe here, and that'll do it for you. So basically this pipe, it has a lot of options on it, but it's pretty simple. You can just break down the bee by genome and where it will actually go. One of the other things that you'll notice is down the bottom here, there's this little princess and drone icons. And basically, it's just as simple as taking a bee that you already have and dropping it in here. This can't go in the princess slot, it can only go in the drone slot. And basically, it will take all of the genome breakdown for this bee. So it's going to know everything about it. It's going to know that it's shorter lifespan, slowest speed, productivity. It's slower with pollination. It takes flowers. It's going to automatically know exactly what this bee is all about, and the color simply determines the output side, or the side that this bee can be taken in at. So you don't have to put something right here. If you drop it here, it'll know, okay, this bee is going to the red slot. I'm not sure if that works or not. I think that just makes it generic. I think you have to put it down here if you want to put a specific bee and match the genome without having to put all the criteria inside of here. Just drop it down here, and it's going to only pull bees out that are meadows drones, that are slowest workers, shortest life, temperature and humidity are normal, it takes flowers and the whole 9 yards and everything else about the bee. That's basically all this pipe does. Now that's saying a lot, and that may be an understatement. But I'm sure there's a lot of things you can do with this pipe. Really applied Energistics can sort out your bees and export and import them based on an almost exact match with those fuzzy export, import, and storage buses. So I'll leave it to you to figure out what to do with this pipe, but that's everything that this thing does. It just sorts the bee by genome and not in a broader sense, just like the Apiarist pipe does. And then you can just put a bee here, and it will make a copy of it. It's not going to keep that bee. It's like a diamond transport pipe, and it will just match whatever genome that this bee has that you already have in your inventory. Okay? So that's the Advanced Apiarist pipe. Again, this causes serious problems. Did that tree totally burn down? Yes, it most certainly did. Okay, there's where it was. Okay, so just be really careful with that block. For me, it causes a drastic drop in FPS. We've crashed the server with it on the private world, but it seems stable right now. Hopefully, it will stay that way, and hopefully, any bugs that it has will be weeded out later. So let's drop back to our normal world. All right, we're back right where we started. That's the end of the episode. We covered the Apiarist pipe. We automated with Buildcraft, Factorization, applied Energistics, and we found out what the fully automated self-analyzing honey processing bee breeding bonanza contraption did. And let's see what you can come up with on your own. And we also hit that Advanced Apiarist pipe and nailed down the indexer while we were here. Remember to check us out on all of our social media outlets listed here. And as always, guys, stay poised and get ready for episode 5, the Apiary.